Hi everyone, welcome to the third session of Cypress course. In today's video, we'll see how we can install Cypress and then we will write up the first test script in Cypress. So this is the official website. Over here, before starting with the Cypress, we have to make sure we have the required system requirements. So if I click over here on the system requirements, so we see they have mentioned the system OS which are supported. So if you're working on Mac OS or Linux or Windows, just make sure you have the desired OS. Otherwise, it will not be supported. Okay. Next thing is Node.js because this is built on base of top of Node.js, and we'll be using npm to install Cypress and then to work on other test scripts. So we have to install Node.js. Node.js you have to install from the official website. So this is the official website of Node.js, nodejs.org. From here, you can download it as per your OS requirement. So if you're using Windows or Mac OS or Linux, you can download directly from here. Just click on that. Let's say you're working on Windows. So just click over here and then you can, once it is downloaded, you can follow the steps mentioned on your screen. Okay. So once Node.js is installed, just make sure the version of Node.js is as per what is mentioned on the official website. So in my case, I already have Node.js installed. So I'll go, if you're working in Windows, go to your command prompt and check the Node version. And if you're working in Mac OS, you can go to terminal. So I'm working on Mac machine. I'll open my terminal and I will just clear it. Yeah. So in order to check the version of Node, you have to enter the command node-v and you can see the version over here. So the version which I have is basically v16.17, which is matching with the requirements they have mentioned. So Node.js 16.x. So this is also done. Next thing is to install an IDE. So for Cypress, we will be using Visual Studio Code, which is actually one of the best IDE available for JavaScript projects. But you can choose any IDE of your choice. It's just recommended to use VS Code because of its extensive features like extensions you can download, or there are multiple features which are there, and it's quite user friendly. So if you do not have Visual Studio Code, you can download it from the official website. So this is the official website of VS Code. You can download it from here based on the OS. So if you're working on Windows or Linux or Macs, you can download it accordingly. Okay. So now we are done with the prerequisite of Cypress. So we have installed, we make sure our OS is matching, then our Node.js version is fine, and then we have ID ready. Now, what we'll do, so next step is we will create a folder. So you can create a folder in any location on a system. Maybe if you are working in Windows, you want to create in C drive or D drive, or if you want to create in desktop or any other folder. So we'll create a folder and then we will open it in our ID to proceed further. So you can do it using two ways. You can either manually create the folder or you can create it using the command. So I'll show you both ways. I'll go to my desktop, and if you are working in Mac or in Windows, you just have to do right click and create a folder. Let's say the folder name is test Cypress. Okay, so this is how I create folder manually, but this can be done through your terminal as well. So if you're working in Mac, we will open terminal and I'll go to that location. So I'm already at desktop location, you see, it's desktop. So make sure the location is correct wherever you want to create a project. If you want to create in your documents folder or C drive, make sure you are in um, that directory. Okay, you can also check the directory using command pwd. So it tells you you are basically in which directory. So I want to create on desktop. So you have to use command mkdir. So basically this mkdir creates a directory or you can say a folder. So I will create this, I'll name it as Cypress training. Okay, and my folder is created. Okay, so now we will open Visual Studio Code, our IDE editor, so we can install Cypress, and we'll start our first test script. Okay, so once you install Visual Studio Code, it looks something like this. And in Visual Studio Code, you can see at the top left corner, you can see there's an option for file. So if you want to open a folder, you can open it in two ways. You can either select from file and click on open folder, or when you open this Visual Studio Code, it by default also in the Explorer, it gives you an option to, it tells you like you have not opened a folder, you can open it directly from here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll click on open folder. It takes you, so choose the directory which you created. So I created Cypress training, right? So I'm selecting this folder, and now I can see my Cypress, the project is actually created over here on the left side, but it is empty as of now because we haven't added anything, right? Next step is, because you are working on, we'll be using Node.js. So whenever you work in any JavaScript project in basically related to Node, what you can do, you have to initialize that. So you have to use a command npm init, which is basically used in Node.js to initialize a Node package or Node project or a package. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will write command npm init. So you have to open terminal. You can open terminal either from, top this file. So options, you can select terminal, or you can select it from the bottom also. Just click on cross and your terminal you can select from here. Okay. So now I'm writing npm init. So just click on npm init and it will ask you a few questions. So what is your package name? If I want to pass any package name, I can pass. Otherwise, by default, it takes the name of your project. So I will just keep it as it is. Next is version. So you can keep it as it is, or you can pass some version as well. Okay. Description, maybe I can pass test automation. And entry point, I leave like this. Test command, I leave like this. Git repository, you can add later on. We'll see how, when we create a framework, how it is important to add Git repository. But for now, we will keep it as empty. And keywords, let's keep it as empty. So now you can see your package.json is created. Okay, and you can see all the information, whatever you selected while creating npm, while passing npm init. You can see the name, the version, description, and everything is added over here. Okay, now let's go to the website of Cypress, official website, and we'll see the steps which they have mentioned. So installing Cypress, let's go back over here. So there are multiple ways to install Cypress. We can either do it using npm or yarn, or if we can do it, we can directly also download it. But like we will, it's the best practice is to install Cypress. They have also mentioned over here the recommended option is to install Cypress with npm. So we will use the first approach. So just copy this command from here and go to your terminal. Okay, so just paste the command and click enter. It will install Cypress. So like if you're using it first time, it will take some time. And once this is done, you can see on the left side, node modules got added. So there are two ways to verify. First one is you can directly go to your package.json and see the dev dependencies, Cypress is added or not. The second way is go to your node modules, and over here you can see under bin we have Cypress. Okay, so this means the Cypress is installed. Next thing, so now we are done with the Cypress installation. Next thing is how to open Cypress. So in order to open it, there I'll show you. So they have provided multiple ways. So the first one is, if you're using npm, you can directly use the command npx cypress open. Or for yarn also they have mentioned a command. Otherwise, there is one more way. So under node modules, like I showed you, under node modules, we have this bin, and inside that we have Cypress, like we saw over here, bin and dot bin. Under that also we have Cypress. So we can directly pass the location and then say Cypress open. That way also we can open Cypress. But we can we'll be using this command npx cypress open, which is actually a very easy command to open Cypress. So let's just go with this one. Go to terminal and go to your terminal and enter the command over here. Okay, so it's npx, so this npx cypress open. Okay, now if it is running it first time, it will ask you like you are running it for the first time. And once this is open, you can see it asks you the different types. So basically it supports component testing and end-to-end testing. But for now, we'll be doing the end-to-end testing. So I'll select end-to-end testing. It also tells you the configuration, like these are the configuration files for cypress.config.js, where your configuration, this is the main configuration file, and then it tells you about the different folders which we have. Just click on continue, and now you will see the list of browsers which are shown on your screen. So guys, don't panic if you don't see all the browsers. Don't worry, because Cypress by default comes with Electron browser, and it supports multiple browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and it also supports WebKit as an experimental support as of now. But it will only show you those browsers which are there on your system. Let's say Cypress supports Chrome and Firefox, but on my system I don't have Firefox. Then I will only see Chrome and Electron. So in your case, if you don't see all the browsers, maybe you don't have all the browsers available on your system, it will show you only the supported browsers and which are there on the local system. Okay. So now what we'll do, we'll select the browser. So I selected Chrome. Click on select end-to-end testing. The next step is it will show you over here. You select example specs. So by default, Cypress comes with different examples, and these are very helpful examples. So I just clicked one of the examples, and I can see the test execution on the screen. So this is the test execution screen. So on the left side, I can see the number of, in that particular file, there are multiple steps. So these are the steps. Whereas on the right side, I can see the application. So like we learned the last video. So the features of Cypress is like it tells you, you can see the execution on the runtime in parallel along with your commands. So on the left side, your commands are getting run, and on the right side, you can see the application which is under test. Now we saw how we can open this. Let me show you one more example. So go back to the Cypress screen. I'll close this and I will again launch my browser. I will select some other example. I will select this action example. Okay. So this is the default examples which are provided by Cypress. So these are quite helpful when you're a beginner and you start working on Cypress. You can refer to this because they have basically mentioned most of the commands which we'll be learning in the upcoming videos in Cypress, like how to pass a value or how to click on a value. So they have given the commands. But for now, just keep in mind, like there are some Cypress examples which will be added, which will be present already. Okay. So now what we'll do, we'll go back to our Cypress screen, to my Cypress project. So you can also see in the terminal the logs basically. So whatever actions are performed on the UI, there are the calls. You can see the calls which are getting traced over here. So you can see the logs, right? Okay. So now what will happen, we will see inside your project, there will be a Cypress folder which will be installed. You see this one? So when you run the command npx cypress open, that means it launches your Cypress, and based on the testing type, because I selected end-to-end, we will have different folders selected over here. So you can see, I'll explain you a bit about the folder structure which is present. So end to end, you can see. So end to end, inside end to end, all your test scripts will be there. So by default, like I mentioned, Cypress provides some examples. So all the examples are added over here, and the file name ends with cy.js. So this is the default extension which Cypress supports. And if you want to change it, we can change the extension. We can change the configuration basically. We'll see that later on. But for now, like this is your first script. So just see whatever file we write, the extension should be cy.js. Okay. So inside our end-to-end, we write our test scripts. Next one is fixtures. So fixtures is basically your test data section. So let's say in your you're trying to open a login page and you have username password. Maybe you can write that in a fixture file. So basically all your test data you can keep inside fixture file. So Cypress comes with this folder structure which is very useful. Let's say you're coming from a Selenium background. So maybe you might be knowing about a property file, right? Where we write our, let's say, the configuration or property file, which we read and we have to write a code for that. But in Cypress, it's just you have to enter cy.fixtures and your file name that will be loaded. So you don't have to write a lot of code for accessing the test data inside the fixture files. It's already provided in Cypress. Okay. So this is also very useful. Next one is support folder. So inside this, we have two files. One is commands.js. So basically in Cypress, if you have any reusable commands or functions, we can write over here and reuse it in any class. Let's say I want to create a login function, and I know it will be used in several test cases. So instead of writing it writing in every class, I can just write over here and I can call it in my test, and I can call it using cy dot the name of the command, whichever I created. Okay. So this we'll see later on, but just giving you a gist of the folder structure and what all files are there inside that. Next one is end-to-end.js. So let me open it. Yeah. So over here, what you do, let's say if you create some, so currently we have command.js, but you can create multiple JS command.js files. So whatever you create, you can import it over here. And alternately, you can, for importing, so you can add all your configurations or uh, basically, if you want to import anything in your in Cypress, so you can add it over here. Okay. So this is about support folder, right? Next one is cypress.config.js. So if there is any configuration, let's say default configuration, the global at global level, you need to define it over here. So for example, default timeout. So Cypress comes with some default timeout, but in case if you want to change it, you can just mention over here the key and change it, and all the tests will be impacted as per that. So this is for your global configuration. If you want to change anything at global level related to maybe the timeout, or let's say if you want to change the retry, so Cypress has already in defined retry code added. You just have to mention the retry number of retries which you want. So everything, all those configuration can be done in cypress.config.js. So don't worry, we will be seeing all this in detail in the upcoming videos. So this is just the first video about the installation and just trying to understand how the folder structure is in Cypress. Okay. So we can see there is a download folder over here, but this is created because we executed test case, right? So that's why we can see download folder. Fine. Next thing is, let's just create our first test case. So we will, like I told you, inside our end-to-end, we write our test cases. Okay. So what we'll do, we will create a file. So go to end-to-end, do right click and click on new file. I will add. So we will create a test case to launch browser in Cypress. So launch browser.cy.js, like I told you, By default, it will consider only those files which have this extension cy.js, but we can change this as well. Later on, we'll see how we can change this. Okay. So it by default it comes with Mocha and Chai. So that means if you want to write test case, you can write in this format in describe and init. So describe is basically your test suite name, I would say. So let's say my test suite name, maybe you want to check homepage, right? So you have to enter that text, the suite name, and then inside this, it's a callback function. Okay. Now, let's say in single suite, there are multiple test cases. So in order to test multiple test cases, we write it in it block. So inside it, maybe I can write test case one, fine. And test case one is maybe launch browser. So this is my test suite name and this is my test case name. So in single test suite, you can add multiple test cases. So this is my first test case and this is again a callback function. You have to write it in this way. Okay. So now we will open google.com. So if you want to open google.com, let's say you in Cypress, we use this command cy.visit. Okay, so in order to open any URL, you have to enter cy.visit. So this is the command. Okay, so now I'll enter the URL of Google, whatever page you want to open. So we are opening google.com as our first test case. Fine. So that's it. This is the command to open any web page on web browser. So what we'll do, let me go to a terminal and write the command npx cypress open. Just make sure you are at the root level of the project. So my project name is Cypress Training and I can see in the terminal I'm at the root level. So if you are inside, maybe this command won't work. I mean, maybe you are inside Cypress, but make sure if you are at the root level, you enter this command. Okay, it will open Cypress for you. So npx cypress open, I click enter and it will open your Cypress screen. Just select end-to-end testing, select the browser of your choice. I'm selecting Chrome. Now you can select, so it is showing all the basically all the test files which are there in end-to-end.js. I created launch browser, so I can see launch browser.cy.js got created, and I can also see it got updated a minute ago. So this is also very useful feature when you are working in a team. So maybe you're working in same branch, or let's say you want to see when did you update the last test case. So you can see the updation time also. Okay, so maybe sometimes you think, yeah, I have updated my test case, but maybe it's not updated, it's not saved, and you keep on opening the same test case, so you can see directly from here, like it's updated or not. Fine. Okay, let me open this one. Now, if I open the test case, you can see, yeah, I can see my Google page is launched. I can see the browser got open, it is launched, and www.google.com is launched. Okay, and I can also see from the left side the test case got passed. So this one is green, that means my test case got passed, and on the right side I can see the page got open. Okay, again you can check the logs also from the terminal, but over here it's just one web page, so maybe this is not required for this case, but again you should know in when we open in any, let's say, browser or perform any action, the logs are also actually tracked over here, okay, in the terminal. So guys, yeah, this is how we launch a browser in Cypress, and this today we learned about how we can install Cypress and how we can actually create a first test case in Cypress. So it's quite easy. You just have to uh, you know use one command and then Cypress would be installed. And in order to open it also, it's just a single command which you are using. Fine. So yeah, that's it. And in the next videos, we will see the different scenarios and where we will see different methods which are there in Cypress, like how we can pass the text and all those stuff.